Hungarian folk art is a secret language carrying the stories and traditions of a culture whose origins are still heavily debated. Every pattern, symbol, and color holds a deeper meaning, and I bet that some of these might actually shock you. Hi, I'm Anna from a mixed ethnic region of Transylvania, which has a vibrant and maximalist culture. And today I will dive into the rich symbolism of Hungarian folk art, so stick around to uncover its hidden messages. And without further ado, let's dissect this topic. Hungarian folk art is rooted in symbolic thinking and rich decorative traditions. Interest in deciphering its meanings became popular in the late 19th century when the Goth himself, Huszka József, compiled an extensive collection of Hungarian folk motifs. And yes, I have his books. He sparked scholarly interest, which was further studied by researchers like Kant Zikienő and Posta Béla, and according to their research, these artistic elements date back to the Magyar conquerors and have preserved an ancient style. In case you don't know, the Magyar conquerors were a nomadic people from the Ural region who migrated to the Carpathian Basin in the 9th century, founding the Hungarian nation. This influence can be seen in how much more vibrant the Hungarian folk art is compared to that of neighboring countries, and it includes motifs originating from its eastern ancestry. Initially, these symbols appeared on perishable materials like wood, leather, and textiles, but later transitioned to stone and architecture. As Christianity spread in Hungary during the 11th century, churches and monasteries were built incorporating traditional motifs. Hungarian craftsmen decorated religious buildings, and the church allowed ancient symbols to take on Christian meanings. For example, the circular palmet designs on Magyar belt plates reappear in the carvings of the Veszprém Cathedral. This tradition continues today, especially in my region, Kalotaszeg, where Protestant Reformed churches feature embroidery containing Bible verses decorated with the ancient motifs of Hungarian folk art. Although the Renaissance introduced Italian influences across Europe, Hungarian artists still continued to use folk motifs in their works. A great example is the Corvin codices. Under King Matthias, folk elements were integrated into manuscript decorations. The Baroque period saw folk art flourishing in civic society, appearing on furniture, headstones, and everyday objects, contributing to the development of this maximalist culture, where we paint, carve, and embroider these beautiful symbols all over our furniture, tablecloths, bedding, vases, dishes, and literally anywhere we can find space. I mean, come on, I've even seen outhouses with carved folk art on their doors. Although Hungarian folk art has absorbed influences from surrounding cultures, including Slavic and Romanian traditions, it has still managed to preserve its unique identity and meaning. These traditional patterns convey messages about life, the universe, and human existence. Shapes and colors are not random, they are carefully chosen to express spiritual, emotional, and cultural ideas preserved for centuries to folk traditions, ensuring that their meanings remain intact for future generations. And even today, skilled artisans continue to use these ancient motifs in their work, keeping the tradition alive. Now, I remember the old ladies in my village who do embroidery, and in some cases, even if they didn't know the meaning of the certain symbol, they were still very careful to replicate them with precision to make sure they don't lose their meaning. These designs provide a sense of belonging, symbolizing protection, fertility, and good luck, which is something we all need during these trying times. For example, some floral patterns symbolize love, fertility, and the bond between man and woman, while others represent growth and renewal. Protective symbols, such as intricate carvings on Székely gates, have long been used to safeguard families from harm, though the biggest threat a Székely might fear is a bear, or the Romanian language. Now, in case you don't know, the Székelys are a Hungarian ethnic group primarily living in eastern Transylvania, known for their unique cultural traditions and historical connection to Hungary, as well as the countless jokes both Hungarians and Romanians love to make about them, especially in my region. So let's decipher the actual meanings of these symbols.
Stop right there!
I just found out that you're not subscribed to my channel.
Why?
Subscribe. The tulip is one of the oldest and most frequently used motifs in Hungarian folk art, appearing in numerous forms and variations. To understand its meaning, you have to turn it upside down. The shape of the tulip's petals is often seen as a representation of the female body, symbolizing femininity and fertility. When paired with a heart motif, the tulip conveys a romantic message, with the tulip representing the woman and the inverted heart symbolizing the man. Now, if you want to know why the inverted heart is a masculine symbol, you've got to think about the male autonomy a bit. And yes, that's why this symbol is also called tökös. Different variations of the tulip can symbolize various ages, personality traits, and relationships. For example, a forked tulip represents girls aged between 10 and 12, while a pointed tulip symbolizes girls between 13 and 15. A spear-shaped or twisted tulip is used to represent young women aged 16 or 17, and spear-shaped tulip can also symbolize pregnancy. The similarly looking lily also represents female fertility, with additional symbolic elements like the plum seed motif. But the lily is also used as a symbol of innocence and immortality, often associated with purity. Similarly, the tilted cross, sometimes enclosed in a rhombus or circle, also signifies the union of male and female. However, the tulip shape doesn't always represent the tulip flower. In certain compositions, when it's on the top of the tree-like shape, it becomes a tree of life symbol believed to offer protection. This is why it was carved onto doorsteps to ward off evil, which is a practice common in Mongolian culture too, and I'm not just talking about the Seikais. This tulip, tree of life, further emphasizes the ancient and widespread significance of the shape across different cultures. One of the earliest known tulip depictions dates back to the 17th century BC Scythian artifacts from the South Caucasus. Now, the Scythians were an ancient nomadic people who lived in the Eurasian steppes, known for their mastery in horseback riding and archery, particularly from the 9th century BC to the 1st century AD. Now, in ancient religion, this tulip shape symbolized the whole tree, acting as a stylized representation rather than a botanical one. Hungarian paleographer Varga Géza has pointed out the similarities between a specific style of the tulip shape and the ancient hieroglyphs that mean the one god. This specific composition frequently appears on Hungarian wrought iron gates, fences, and other forged works. Rosemary leaves often appear as part of a floral composition that binds other motifs together. A branch with rosemary leaves can symbolize romantic love, or in some cases a mother-daughter relationship. When depicted alone, rosemary can represent a couple separated temporarily or permanently, or a bride parted from her mother. Its significance across multiple cultures comes from the fact that it's one of the oldest medicinal herbs. It also served as a fragrance, replacing expensive incense in religious ceremonies. Rosemary was often used in weddings, while guests wearing a spring tied with ribbon. In ancient Greece and Rome, rosemary was believed to enhance memory and also was linked to wisdom. So there's an old Hungarian saying meaning where rosemary blooms, the woman rules the household, highlighting its importance in domestic life. The carnation symbolizes masculinity, often representing a serious lover or husband. This floral motif is a significant sign of strength and devotion in relationships. Meanwhile, the rose is a symbol of the sun, fertility, and fulfilled love. Its alternating light and dark shades represent the passage of time, illustrating the eternal cycle of life. The rosette, on the other hand, not to be confused with the rose, is a circular or hexagonal motif that also represents the sun. I wonder where I've seen this one before. It is believed to hold healing powers and reflects humanity's ancient reverence for warmth and light. The hexagonal shape and varying side counts symbolize harmony, balance, and the cyclical nature of life. Vines and leaves are symbols of life's continuity and the soul's ascension. Their upward growth represents the journey of the soul towards the divine after death. The spiraling forms of leaves may have originated from animal horns, signifying strength and natural power. The pomegranate motif is not directly linked to the actual fruit, the name is just a reference to its similarity in shape. This round form, often divided into semicircles with a grid-like pattern, symbolizes fertility and abundance. Seeds surrounding the motif enhance its meaning, representing potential growth and new beginnings. Flame-like shapes on the top of the design signify fire, an ancient fertility symbol associated with vitality and renewal. The flower base or pot is also a powerful symbol of fertility, representing the nurturing of life. Some sources claim that the base often resembles the female reproductive system, further strengthening its connection to the concept of creation. However, if we examine their meanings individually, we might notice different symbols of masculinity, femininity, and love combined. But we have to be careful when we look at this one, since it looks very similar to another significant symbol, which is the tree of life. The sacred tree, also known as tree of life, world tree or divine tree, is a powerful symbol in many cultures. It can be encountered in Mayan, Celtic, Norse, Buddhist, and Christian traditions, representing growth, strength, and uniqueness, much like a tree that survives for thousands of years. Deep roots symbolize stability, while upward-reaching branches reflect knowledge, progress, and spiritual development. Ancient depictions of this sacred tree date back to 7000 BC, present-day Turkey, but it was also found in Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Jewish, Chinese, and Germanic traditions, always carrying a connection to divine energy. In Christianity and Judaism, it is associated with the tree of knowledge and appears in both Genesis and Revelations. Beyond religious meaning, the tree of life remains a timeless symbol of unity, continuity, and the eternal cycle of existence. It represents a cosmic connection, linking the underworld, earthly realm, and heavens into a unified structure. But the tree of life also signifies rebirth, as a tree appears lifeless in winter but regenerates in spring, embodying renewal. This composition is often seen in Hungarian folk art with a strong base and 5 branches extending upwards, often seen on grave markers. Some sources say that this composition tells a family story showing a father with 5 sons, with the tallest son suppressing even his father in success. In other compositions, it represents life's process in a condensed form. This is often accompanied with other important symbols, a pair of birds. The bird motif is one of the most widespread symbols in European folk art, including Hungarian decorative traditions. Birds have a deep historical connection to the human soul, dating back to ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian beliefs. Even in Assyrian art, birds appeared on either side of the Tree of Life. Now, in case you don't know, the Assyrians were a group of ancient people from the Middle East who built a strong empire around 3000 years ago, known for their powerful army and advanced societal organization. Later, Christian art also adopted the bird motif, using doves to symbolize purity and blissful souls in paradise. Over time, religious meanings faded, and the birds in folk art became symbols of love and romance. In Hungary, bird motifs date back to ancient times and became common in rural crafts by the 17th century. The bird symbol appears in many forms, often incorporated into floral ornaments or geometric patterns in woven textiles. Paired birds facing each other are especially common, frequently placed on either side or a flowering plant. This pairing symbolizes love and marriage, making it a popular decoration on bridal chests and wedding gifts. A single bird holding a flowering branch in its beak is another frequent design, representing devotion and longing. Beyond flat designs, birds also appeared in three-dimensional folk art, such as clay whistles shaped like birds. Dough birds, called tubu or pipiska, were often placed on wedding cakes as well, carrying wishes for happiness and fertility. The peacock symbolizes immortality, often appearing in pairs. The pelican motif originated in noble embroidery and later spread into folk art. The rooster was depicted in both stylized silk, embroidery, and more naturalistic ceramic and textiles. The owl became a popular design by shepherd carvings during the 19th century in Dunántúl. Now, Dunán refers to the region located to the west of the Danube River, known for its diverse landscapes, including hills, plains, and vineyards, and includes cities like Pécs and Székesfehérvár. The double-headed eagle, originally an Austrian heraldic symbol, was incorporated into Hungarian folk art and sometimes misinterpreted in local traditions, but the most popular one of them is the dove pair, symbolizing love and the young bride. Floral ornamentation often surrounds the doves, enhancing their connection to beauty and fertility, but it also has a deeper meaning, representing the departing human soul. The most popular composition that I've seen everywhere in Kalotaszeg and beyond is this tree-like shape with tulip-shaped symbol on top and 2 birds facing each other on the branches. So the question is this a flower base symbolizing love and fertility, or is it a tree of life symbolizing the soul and duality of life? In my opinion, this might be answered by where they are placed. On household items like pillows, furniture, or vases, they are likely a symbol of love, while on gates and grave markers, they still hold the ancient spiritual meaning of life and the departing soul. Although Hungarian folk art has faced many challenges and changes over the years, its rich symbolism and intricate designs still resonate today. Many overlook the deeper meanings behind these patterns, yet they hold stories and traditions that connect us to our past. I'm glad I could share a glimpse of this beautiful and meaningful art with you, and I encourage you to dive deeper into the topic of folk art, explore its history and appreciate the symbols that make it so special. And I'm sure you'll find it just as fascinating as I do. If you want to see more content about Central and Eastern Europe, subscribe and check out my other videos. I also have members-only content including 4K clips from my travels and content about my scripting and editing process, as well as some travel stories from my adventures. So get yourself a membership if you're into that. Thanks for tuning in and have a nice day.